Okay, real quick today, we're going to study box plots, or some call them box and whisker plots. If you've studied them before, do you remember studying them last year a little bit, the box and whisker plots? Look like this, everybody. Kind of remember those things? Okay, maybe. So here, what you need to do is you need to figure out certain things to make what we call a box plot or a box and whisker plot. Okay, so we have some numbers to figure out what we call the median. The median is the middle number when they're in order. So it's the middle, but they have to be in order. And if you notice, these are kind of in order, but not perfect. So I'm going to rearrange them a little bit. We have 1, so you may want to rearrange them on your paper. We have 1, 2, 7, 9, 12, 15, 19, and 22. The paper I asked you to take out 3 times earlier of your own sheet of paper. Okay? So, as you arrange that on your paper, then you're looking for the middle number, the median. So, you kind of got to look at them and work your way to the middle. And what we find is we get to the middle, and there's 2 numbers in the middle, 9 and 12, and we don't have a perfect middle number. So what you do when you end up in between 2 numbers, our median is going to be between those 2. So we're going to take our calculator, and we're going to average them. Our median, our middle number is going to be 10.5. It splits the difference between 9 and 12. Now what it did is split the data exactly in half. We have 4 numbers here, we have 4 numbers here. You should be able to look at it and visually figure that out. That makes sense so far? That's what we call the median. I've abbreviated it, MED, but it's median, M-E-D-I-A-N. Now we can identify, we could have started with this one, we can identify what we call the min value or the minimum. What's the smallest number? 1. We can also identify the max or the biggest number. 22. Now that brings up what we call the range. The range is the max minus the min. So if we take the max minus the min, we get 21. Because 22 minus 1 is 21. But now we have to figure out what we call the quartiles. So this one is called quartile 1. This one is called quartile 3. Sometimes they call them the lower quartile and the upper quartile. These are found just like the median. These are the lower 4 numbers. We want to find the middle of those. So we just look at these and we work to the middle and we find, it's going to be between 2 and 7. So what's between 2 and 7? We take our calculator again. We get 4.5. Up here, we figure out what's the middle. It's between 15 and 19. Can you figure that one out without a calculator? $17. Now, you can take 15 plus 17 divided by 2, but that's what we call the third quartile. Okay, now the last step, we're trying to make what we call a box plot. So a box plot is drawn on a number line, and we try to put these numbers on here, but what we have to first do is we have to get it to scale. So these numbers, they go from 1 to 22, and that's 21 numbers wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to count by 2s. Sorry, that part of the board is a little bit bad. I can't get it to right over there all the time. So that's supposed to be the 22. And now, to make what we call the box, so the box and whisker plot, we use Q1 and Q3, 17 and 4.5, and we put a box above there. 17 would be about here, and 4.5 would be in the range of about here, and we create a box. It's called the box and whisker plot. Now, the spread of the box is what we call the IQR. It's called the interquartile range. So if we take those two numbers, like we did with the range, and we subtract them, you get what's called the IQR. Now, all 5 of these numbers need to be on this graph. I usually start with the box. You could start with what you want, but I need to get the 1 represented on here. So I draw another line down here above 1, and that's my minimum. And make it what we call a whisker. That's why some call it a box and whisker plot. And another line up here at 22. Sorry, again, that's the funny part of the board. And then the other line is at 10.5, where the median was. And you should be able to roughly look at all these and figure out what they were. A lot of times we can write them right on there. But that's making a box plot or a box and whisker plot. Now, if you have one of the calculators that we use at school, the calculator can do all the work for you. So if you would, press your on button and go to number 1, do new document. Do you want to save? No. Now what you're going to add is a number 4, the list and spreadsheet page. Everybody got that page showing? Now up at the top we have to call it something, so I'm just going to call it X. You can call it what you want. If you want to name it something, you could call it box for box and whisker plot, whatever. You can name it whatever you want. X is fine. And we're going to type in the numbers that we have on here, and the order does not matter. Next, if you press, I think it's Control, then Document, you can add another page. So you can add a Data and Statistics page. Okay, so get a Data and Statistics page. I'll do that again one more time in case you don't know how to do that. When you're sitting on your page with this, if you press Control and then Document, D-O-C, you can add a number 5 and add a page. Now this is going to be able to help us graph the stuff. Move your mouse around and click on the bottom and choose what you called your variable. I called mine box. I originally called it X, that's why it's there. And now we have to change this to a box plot. This is what we call a dot plot. Now a dot plot shows all the numbers. If you notice, if you hover your hand above it, there's a 1 there, there's a 2 there, there's a 7 there, there's a 9 there. It gives us all the numbers. They're actually in order. But if you press menu and then number 1 and change it to a box plot, you'll now have the same graph that we should have made on our page. It looks a little different. They just make it a little wider. But if you hover on here, you'll notice it gives us the minimum value. The lowest is 1. Hover the hand. Are you doing that? If you're not doing that, you're going to get a chance to practice again. But you're going to have to do this. It'll be on the semester test. And if you can't do it, so be it. This is our day to learn this stuff. Okay? If I hover here, it says Q1 is 4.5. If I hover here, its median is 10.5. I hover here, its Q3 is 17, and then I find the max is 22. Okay? So, next, got another example. So on your paper that you have, I don't have notes on this one. I do, but we're not going to do all the notes. So I didn't print them. We're just doing this one, on our own. We have another one. We're going to make another box plot. I've got another list of data. So the first thing you have to do is you have to put them in order. So I'm going to look. We got 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 30, and 31. Now this time there are 7 numbers. So 26 is the middle number. Does that make sense? So that means 26 is our median. But you have to put them in order first. If you don't put them in order, you won't get that right. Our minimum value is 22. Our maximum is 31. That's what helps us get the range. Again, the range is max minus min. It's how far apart the biggest and smallest numbers are. If you take 31 minus 22 in the calculator, you're going to get 9. Next, you have to find what we call a Q1, or the lower quartile. It will be the middle of these. What is the middle of those? Yep. What's the middle of these? And that one is going to be Q3. Now, to find what we call the IQR, interquartile range, we take 30 minus 24, so we get 6. Now we're going to make a box plot. This time, you could put them on yourself, or everybody, let's try it again. If you didn't get this last time, it's your chance to do it from scratch. Everybody press the on button and press new document. You do not want to save. You now want to add number 4. So again, new document, don't save. Number 4, everybody on this spot. Good? Good? I will wait for you. I will help you. Okay, but you got to do it. Now call it something. Whatever you want. X is fine. I'm just going to leave it as X this time. You can type the numbers in. You do not have to put them in order. The calculator will do it for you. So if you are lazy and don't want to put them in order, then you can always do this in the calculator. We notice there's 7 numbers. Got them typed in? Now we got to add what's called a data and statistics page. There's a couple ways to add it. You can go Control, Doc, and then press number 5, or you can press the on button. Sometimes you press the on. You just got to be careful because a lot of students press number 1 and then they got to type it in again. But you can go down here and press the pink one. That's the graphing one that we need. Okay? Everybody got that? Now hover your mouse around and click in there and click on X. Okay? If you have those dots up. Now you press menu, number 1, and number 2, the box plot. Now you notice we can check our values. 22, was that our minimum? Yes. Is 24 our Q1 and 26 our medium? Let's find out. 24 is Q1, 26 is the median. 30 is Q3. If you hover the hand, you just lightly graze over this part. 30 is Q3 and 31 is the max. 30 is Q3 and 31 is the max. So if we have to graph it, what I usually do then is look, what did they count by here? It looks like they counted by ones and went from 22 to 31. Sounds good. So I'd go up here. "24 to 27 is the box." You can hover the hand on there to make sure that you graph it right if you needed to graph it. You won't have to graph it on the semester test. Okay? Might have to graph it today. We do a worksheet. 26 is the median. 31 is the maximum. And 22 is the minimum. Okay, how are we doing so far? Now, if somebody was at home doing this, you can find programs to help you make a box and whisker plot. You just have to search it. It's doable at home. Okay, I want to get to the worksheet. So I had a third example, but I'm just going to do 2 so we can do the worksheet because I want to do the worksheet together.